What's up guys, we're back in the shop. We got the Yamaha R9 here and today is all about the oil change. I'm gonna do my best to make it as simple and easy for you to do because I know this stuff can get really expensive and let's be honest, it's just maintenance. It's pretty easy to do if you just do it right. So I will do my best to show you step by step how to get this thing done and we'll get this oil change out quick. Before we get to the oil change, just wanna let you guys know I got the exhaust system here, I got some rear sets here and a couple of other pretty cool components to install on this motorcycle, as well as some really cool maintenance parts that I just got for chain alignment that are gonna make your life so much easier. So let's get this job done real quick for you guys. Okay, before we get started here, I just wanna make sure you guys know the only reason why we're on a lift is simply to make it easier for me to record for you guys. This job can easily be done on the ground with a kickstand, no rear stand needed. The first thing we're gonna take off here is these 3 4mm screws here. And these are gonna take this bottom piece of the fairing off. And I would say that this isn't necessary in the fact that I can reach the oil filter, I can reach the drain bolt, I can reach the fill. Everything is able to be gotten at without this lower piece or a side fairing taken off. But just for sheer ease of getting at everything, this bottom one is gonna be 6 bolts and easy to accomplish. So definitely worth it if we're trying to like not burn our hands or anything like that. Now, of course, this has not been taken apart before, so you know it's gonna wanna probably hold on pretty good, whether it be paint or debris or whatnot that may be kind of holding this stuff on there, right? So that was a lot of crap coming out of there and not super easy to get off, but you can tell nothing is broken and that is how it's supposed to come off. So after we take it on and off once or twice, it'll start getting easier to do for us. The reason why we want to do all this beforehand, before we start up the engine and get it warmed up, is so that we don't potentially burn our hand on the exhaust or anything like that. So now that we have this prepped up and ready to go, next step, fire up our motorcycle and we're gonna let it run for about 5 minutes just to get that engine oil nice and warm for us so that it all, as much of it as we can, we get out of the engine. Next, we got our suitable tray here to catch some oil, and this drain bolt is a 17mm. Now keep in mind all this is very, very hot right now. Oh, and man is that on there. So I like to do my best not to make a mistake, or at least try and get some gloves on. But either way, we've gotten it to this point. All the threads are out. We're starting to leak, so I'm gonna slowly just kind of pop her out there. Oh, and we got a little bit of oil on the exhaust. That would probably help if you were on your kickstand. So there you go. Doing this on your kickstand is actually easier. So we'll go ahead and let this thing drain out and get ready to attack the next piece, which is going to be getting after this oil filter here. And I went ahead and 3D printed myself a oil filter chingadera here. Maybe a little hard to see in here, but this is the oil filter. It's just kind of hidden just a little bit around the exhaust system. There is some room to get at it. Easily get all fingers on it. Just kind of weasel it on there and start getting this filter off. Now what's kind of cool is nothing's really in the way and everything is fairly easy to get at. So just be careful. It is very, very hot, but pretty dang easy to get this oil filter off in my opinion. So, and definitely helps when you have the right size socket. And of course I'm a little nerdy and I 3D printed this bad boy. So I'd say it worked pretty good. But very easy to purchase something like this, and I will link one down below so that you guys can get an oil filter wrench if that's what you want. All right, so from here, honestly, I would just let her drain as long as you possibly can. So, but it's up to you. I mean, the job is pretty much there. We could start refilling if you like. Now that we're good and drained out, you can tell we're not dripping or anything. Wipe her off there. Make sure the surface is nice and clean. Don't forget to put a new crush washer on. Put this guy in here. Now, like I said, I have the actual maintenance manual In fact, I can't find my owner's manual to tell you for a fact whether or not the owner's manual says that or not. Maybe one of you guys could put that down in the comments if the owner's manual says 32 foot-pounds, just like the maintenance manual does. But we had that same kind of issue when it came to the Yamaha R7. It was asking us to do 30-some foot-pounds. I had multiple people tell me they broke their oil pan by trying to torque it that hard, which I would agree, that's insane. So be careful. I'm probably gonna torque this to like 22 right now, so if you want to do that, you're more than welcome to as well, obviously. If you're someone who doesn't use a torque wrench and you're just gonna go ahead and, I think this is roughly 22, who knows if you're putting 50, 60 or what you're doing. So like I said, I'm gonna go with 22 foot-pounds for this because that sounds a little more realistic, and then I'll go ahead and it's easy to see the bolt at any point in time with the fairing on. So I'll go ahead and check it throughout the next week or so as I ride it, just to make sure I'm not dripping at all. But honestly, in my opinion, 32 foot-pounds is way too much for that. So I will be sticking with the 22, and I'll let you guys know how that goes. So let's continue on. And just for another quick one, everyone always asks me about my torque wrench. Honestly, this is a really, really old snap-on torque wrench, and these things are way too expensive. Not that I don't believe torque is very important. When I used to work on cars a lot, to me it was a very important thing to have. But in my opinion, like, most torque wrenches are very close within the proper specification, and you're not going to damage things with most torque wrenches. What's important is head bolts and stuff like that, not necessarily regular old maintenance that you would use a torque wrench on. So just, if you have questions on torque wrench, I'll put some down below in the description for you guys if you're looking for a decent torque wrench that'll get the job done without breaking the bank, because I'm pretty sure these things are insane, like $600-700 or something like that. And this one is probably 10 plus years old. So yeah, let's continue on. So I'm set up to my 22 foot-pounds here, but we do have that crush washer on there, which should create that seal for us. So there we go, 22 foot-pounds, not that much pressure, and we are good to go. And like I said, I will continually look throughout the week just to make sure we don't have any dripping or anything like that. Next step, we go straight after this oil filter here. This is the Yamaha OEM filter for this motorcycle, and I will put it down below, as well as a little pack of crush washers, because if you do enough of your own oil changes, you're going to want crush washers on hand. So we'll take this little guy off here. You can see this is lubed slightly. It's still recommended that you go ahead and put a little bit of oil on here. And we are gonna be putting this filter on like so. So you can tell, like, it's gonna go on that way, which means it's gonna leak out oil. So we can only put so much in here, but we do wanna put some in. Now, before we pour this bad boy in, we do have the standard Yamaha lube, and the main reason for that and why I'm not going with something that's maybe a better oil than this Yamaha lube is because this bike is still under warranty. And the way I see it is, if the dealer says this is what you will put in the motorcycle, especially throughout its warranty period, that is what I will do, because that's what the Yamaha techs are supposed to do when they do your oil change for you, if you're going to take this somewhere to get it paid for. But my opinion, you use this until you're out of your warranty, and then you use whatever the hell you want. So for this, we're just going to pour a little bit in there, maybe a little more than I probably should have, but then we want to make sure all the threads, this seal, and everything gets nice and lubed up before we put it on the actual motorcycle. So I'll do my best to obviously not touch the hot exhaust, and roll her up and just start spinning her on. You could tell I put just a little bit too much. I did get one drop out of there, but it's officially on there tight enough now to where we can make sure there are no drips and nothing under here. It's always good to clean. A clean motorcycle is a happy motorcycle. You see all this gunk all over your engine and everything. You know what that actually means? More heat inside the engine, which means your vehicle or your cooling system is now working harder. So now that we have the oil filter on, I am gonna use my little 3D printed cap here, which is kind of cool because you've got a little 1/2" thing in here that I had made on it, and I'll have to reduce it down to 3/8 to actually torque it, but something like this is good. I will, like I said, link something down below if you would like to purchase one of these. Like, normally I wouldn't torque a oil filter, and that's because I can get my hands on it. And honestly, if I can get 2 hands on, well, hell, even one, well, without touching the exhaust, my own arm is strong enough to put on You can't overdo it with your hands is what I'm trying to say here. So put it on the ratchet first because it's freaking hot in here, and then kind of work your way all the way onto that filter, and you'll be able to tell you can start tightening it down. So now that I have it on there, I'll go down to a 13 foot-pounds on the torque wrench here. For me, a little 3/8 adapter. Try not to touch any exhaust. There we go. Not a lot of movement in here with the fairing here, but just enough it looks like. There we go. There's your 13 foot-pounds, which is like freaking nothing, guys. So there we go. Torqued. Get that bad boy off. Ready to start filling it up with oil. Oil fill location, which this little cap will pop off right here. And then the next thing to note is how to actually see this sight glass. Just behind through this one little spot here. So you can see we're completely empty. Obviously we just drained it. So we'll go ahead and get the recommended oil in here, which because we are replacing the oil filter is 3.2 liters or 3.38 US gallons. So here is our jug here. It's obviously maxed out right there at the 4 liters is what it really was before we poured that little amount into the oil filter. So we'll go by liters here, and we'll go ahead and take out 1, 2, and 3, which will leave us with that little amount that we've put inside the engine oil filter. There we go. Got about 1.5 in there. So 2 plus whatever we had in the oil filter now. And there's 3 point whatever we had already put in the filter. So we'll go ahead and start with that because we know we're not going to blow up our engine. We have enough oil in there at this point. And in fact, you can tell, like if you were to look in your sight here, you'll see that you're already over full. Now that is very normal, and that's because all the engine oil that we've drained out of this thing already has come out of all the little extra parts of the engine. And as we poured it in just to the belly, it's gonna look full, but that's because the oil hasn't cycled through the engine. So we'll go ahead and do that. Same kind of concept as warming it up, just a few minutes, 2-3 minutes max will allow the oil to actually circulate through the entire engine block. And then after that we shut it off, we'll go ahead and wait. I like to wait 20-ish minutes for it to settle to see exactly where it's at. So you'll notice when we get done with this, you fire it up, you're thinking it's over full, it'll cycle through the engine, you'll shut it off, and then you'll think it's empty because there won't be anything in the sight glass because you'll have to wait for all that oil in the engine to come and settle back down and give us a true reading. All right, now depending on how patient you are and how long you want to sit here and wait, but you can actually see now the engine oil actually already coming up. It's already past the low level and is slowly seeping up. So that's why I say it's worth waiting a good 20 minutes prior to actually checking your engine oil to know if it's good. So I'll go ahead and give this 20 minutes. We'll come back, we'll check it out, see where it's sat, and yeah, finish this job up. All right, 20 minutes later, and we're already up just above and not quite half. So I will just put a little bit more in, and we'll call this a good oil change. Just another touch should put us right around that. Exactly what it's asking for, 3.2 liters. So there we go. Let's get this thing put back together. All right, got our cap back on, and there we go. You could tell just with that little bit that we poured in there has already pushed us up to the top line. And as soon as we cycle the engine, that's actually gonna reduce it down just a tiny bit. So that is perfect. Oil change complete. Last piece to go back on. That's actually way better than the R7 and however the R7 did it. Because if you guys remember that was quite annoying. Now, definitely annoying to take this thing apart the first time for sure, but it fits like a glove for the second time. So yeah, we'll get these 6 bolts back on for this bottom fairing. Much better design than the R7, that's for sure. Well, that about wraps it up, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that you got something out of this. I'm really excited to finally do the chain adjustment, I got this pretty rad little laser for making your chain adjustment absolutely perfect. I will show you guys how to use this in the next video. We'll go ahead and get the bike cleaned up, clean and lube the chain. I will show you guys how to get it back within specifications as if it was your first service or any other time for the rest of your ownership of your motorcycle, because if you know anything about chain adjustment, you need to be doing it every 600 miles just to make sure that it lasts a long time and you don't have issues with it. So thanks for hanging out, guys, and I'll see you next week. Bye.